Hello there, and today on the I Love Ribbon Says podcast, I am going to be trying out mid-side miking with a couple of ribbon microphones. I will be comparing the TLM193 to the U87 and other stuff too, so go ahead and stick around. We're going to leave that in, and let's see if I can learn how to speak by the end of this podcast. I doubt it, but we will give it a shot. Let's start by discussing the mid-side miking technique, and this is something that's relatively new to me and something that I am very excited about, specifically because I have a new microphone clip. Something I never thought I would ever say or would ever happen in my entire life. I would be excited about getting a specialized microphone clip. What brought this about is I recently got the Beyerdynamic M130 on loan from Beyerdynamic. That's a figure-8 ribbon mic. I already had the M160, which is a hypercardioid ribbon that I bought with my own money. And this is a perfect combination of microphones for the mid-side miking technique. I went into my Discord and somebody pointed out there is a special microphone clip specifically made for these two microphones to get them set up perfectly for mid-side miking. And I bought this from Firemeier in Germany, so it took a while to get over here, and I wrote down the name of the brand, Halter MS130160. It costs $50 or €50 for a microphone clip. With shipping, I think it came out to $70 US. And the thing that's neat about this is it does hold the microphones perfectly in line. It has your vertical adjustment, so you could adjust it in that way, but it also has a horizontal adjustment in case you want to avoid any kind of lopsidedness if you are miking an acoustic guitar and you want to have more of a vertical stereo. It allows you to do that as well. So it's a very well designed and well thought out microphone clip, which is just really neat. I love these specialized tools that are, hey, here is a really niche issue or a really niche use case. Let's go ahead and make the perfect solution for it. And that's what they did, and that is awesome. And although it sounds like it, no, this is not an ad. I bought this microphone clip off of eBay with my own money. I have no relationship with the retailer or the company that made that microphone clip. Let's briefly talk about the mid-side miking technique, which is relatively new to me, and then I'll provide some samples because what better way to hear something or try something out than to actually try it and listen to it. So the way the mid-side miking technique works is you have a directional center or mid microphone. In this case, it's the M130. And then you have a second microphone, which is figure of 8. That's going to be the side microphone. Now, out of the side microphone, you are only getting a single signal. So what you're going to do is duplicate that track, pan one of those tracks hard left, pan the other one hard right, and then on one of those, you're going to invert the phase. Now, the thing that threw me off about this technique is the fact that you are actually getting a very stereo image, but the left and the right-hand track are identical. It's the identical sound source. So it didn't make any sense to me how you're actually getting a stereo image. But the way you're doing that, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, is the phase cancellation between the side microphones and the center microphone. Because the phase is inverted on one of them, you're getting a different kind of phase relationship and phase cancellation on either side with the center microphone. I believe that is how it works. But with that being said, let's go ahead and listen to the two microphones separately, and then together we will go center microphone, we will go side microphone, and the signal is doubled left and right, and one of them has an inverted phase, and then I will play them both together so you can hear the stereo track. I don't know about you, but I think that sounds awesome, and it is so cool how this technique works. It just shows how smart and clever other people are, because I never would have considered the possibility of getting a stereo recording out of that. Doubling a figure-8 pattern, panning left and right, and then inverting the phase of one, never would have crossed my mind to get such a great stereo image. Now, because you are getting a stereo image, it is possible to get a bit lopsided, depending on where the microphone is in relationship to the sound source you're recording, in this case, the acoustic guitar. So if the body is further off to one side of the figure-8 microphone, that right side or left side is going to sound louder in the mix, and I wanted to provide a sample of that as well, where I have the microphone in the center of the guitar where the neck meets the body, and then moving off to the sides to show you how wide this stereo image actually sounds. So let's go ahead and jump to that sound sample right now as well. That's it. That's all I have to say about mid-side miking. I have no profound thoughts on this. This is a new technique for me. I was just frankly excited about getting such a unique and specialized microphone clip because I am a massive dork. Also, I was really excited to hear how the mid-side miking sounded with these two mics that are a perfect match for this. The M130 as the side and the M160 as the center. Now that we're done talking about something as dull and nerdy and mundane as microphone clips, let's move on to something a whole lot sexier. Boom arms. Microphone stands. That's right. I switched out my desktop boom arm. Previous to this, I was using the yellow tech for maybe 5 or 6 years at this point. Around the start of COVID is when I switched to that. The reason I switched to this new arm, which is the PSA1 Plus from Rode, full disclosure, this was sent to me by Rode 3 or 4 years ago. Sorry about that, it's just been sitting in the box since then because I really had no need for it. But I pulled it out of the box and set it up for a very specific reason. The yellow tech arm has built-in XLR cables. They're fine XLR cables. I've never had an issue with them. However, recently I had 2 failures of universal audio interfaces where the preamp sections were completely blown and it led to repair costs. I sent those back. They were repaired by UA. They did not indicate that there was any kind of fault with the device that would have led to that failure. I sent the microphone that I was using during these failures back to the microphone company so they could investigate it. It was the Audix PDX720. They did a bunch of diagnostics. They checked all the components. They found that it's perfectly fine. So they're saying it wasn't the microphone. UA is indicating there wasn't anything faulty with the interfaces. I checked all of the plugs and outlets to ensure there were no grounding issues here. And that means the last thing was the cable. So I needed to switch out the cable, or I didn't need to. I wanted to be sure that I am taking every single precaution because I do not want to fry any more gear. And the cables that I trust more than any other are the SoundSpeed Specials, the cables that Alan from SoundSpeeds hand makes. And the yellow tech has an internal cable, so I could have just wrapped the SoundSpeed Special around that and then sent it into my preamp or interface. but I opted to grab a boom arm that has some kind of cable management on the outside, making it a lot easier to change out cables and all of that. So I am on the PSA1 Plus now. I don't love the branding. It is very bold. I don't know if you can actually see it on this podcast. Maybe in the bottom corner you can barely see Rode, but if I lift this up at all, big old Rode logo. They did not miss the opportunity to market or brand their stuff there. Thank you for sending it out, though, Rode. I appreciate it, and it is coming in helpful right now because I needed a boom arm with cable management, and this just so happened to be there, so thank you very much. And I am going to continue to rely on SoundSpeed special cables because they are awesome. We're doing something else now. I had so much fun last week comparing the TLM193 to the Neumann TLM103 that I wanted to do it again. Now, I'm not crazy enough to compare the same two microphones again. That would be insane. But what I wanted to do was compare the TLM193, which people seemed to love last week, to another microphone that I love, a classic, an industry standard, the U87 Ai. Now, the 103 was advertised as having a modern and bright top end, and the 193 was advertised as neutral. What you hear is what you get. Or what you play is what you get. Whatever you put in front of the microphone is what you're going to capture. Now, the U87 is by no means a bright and modern sounding microphone, but it does have a boost in the presence region. So I just wanted to hear how these two microphones compare because I think the U87 is very smooth and enjoyable to listen to and easy to listen to. But I also found the 193 to be the same, so I wanted to hear how they compare. Is the U87 going to be overly bright compared to the 193, or is the 193 going to come across really harsh and grating because it has no transformer in it? How are they going to compare? So let's go ahead and jump to that comparison right now. Oh, hi there. What do you say we compare a $3,700 microphone, the U87 Ai, to a $1,700 microphone, the TLM193? You have been listening to the internal camera microphone. Let's do a blind comparison. Starting on microphone A, this is microphone A. You have no idea what this is. This is microphone A. Jumping over to microphone B, this is how microphone B sounds at the exact same distance. Back on microphone A, the gain setting on the U87 is 29 decibels, and the gain on the 193 is 34 decibels. Jumping over to microphone B, this is microphone B. Both mics are running directly into the Universal Audio X8 preamps, 48 volts on. That was microphone B. Here is another sample on microphone A. This is microphone A, and just so you know, the 193 has no settings on it. The U87 is on cardioid, no high pass filter, no pad. Jumping over to microphone B, this is microphone B again. The reason for the settings is to make them as comparable as possible. And I am going to disclose which microphone was which in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Microphone A was the, what do you think it was? The Neumann, hello Neumann, U87 Ai. That was microphone A, and going to microphone B, that was the TLM193. Which one did you like better? Did you like the $1,700 or is it $1,800 193, which is a transformerless microphone, just a single polar pattern, no pad, no filters on it, as I popped it and develop a lisp? Or did you prefer the much more expensive, $2,000 more expensive U87 Ai, which does have a transformer in it? It has multiple polar patterns, it has an air conditioning running in the background now, and it has a pad and a filter. Okay, that concludes the comparison. They were the same distance away, and although one is slightly higher visually, I lined up the capsules so that it is a direct comparison. Let me know in the comments, which one did you like? Wow, that was so cool. That is all that I wanted to cover. Now let's jump to what you had to say, and the first comment comes from Curtis Judd. If you don't follow Curtis Judd on YouTube, what are you doing? Go follow him. He is the best audio content creator of all time. He is the GOAT. And he says, I like the TLM193 with your voice. So nice. Also sounds like static electricity shocks might be a thing to solve. Maybe ground a desk mat you touch before handling your equipment. Curtis, thank you very much for the comment, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your suggestions. First up, that seems to be the overwhelming consensus that the TLM193 sounds great. It is neutral. It is not overly grating or harsh or overboosted. It is nice and pleasing and easy to listen to. When I compared it to the U87, it does sound a bit dark, a bit dull. That's what you would expect when you look at the frequency response graphs, but I still think it is fantastic sounding. Maybe next time I'll compare it to the NT1. Let's do that next week. That ought to be fun. And that is a great suggestion about getting some kind of grounded desk mat. Currently, I just touch a bunch of metal stuff and try to shock myself and the walls and metal stuff to avoid shocking any more gear. And after I rubbed the dryer sheet all over my chair and myself, I haven't been shocking stuff. So maybe I was just electrified. I was like the dude in Dynamo in The Running Man. That's a reference for like one person who actually remembers that movie. That's a good Arnold movie. Man, the 80s had so many good dystopian sci-fi movies. Man, what a good one. I am Dynamo. And he's singing opera and stuff and shocking people. Why am I going on this tangent? Curtis, thank you very much. I appreciate you sharing that suggestion, something I should do. In the meantime, I'm just shocking myself on anything I can. And I hope people continue to like the TLM193. I was going to try to get the review of this out this coming week. I don't want to rush it. It's killing my channel not to put out reviews, having 3 weeks in between releases, but I'm not going to force myself to get out a review so quickly with a microphone of this caliber. I want to spend my time with it. I want to get to know it better. I want to use it more. So channel be damned, it's going to die, but hey, I'm having fun with the microphone. That's the way it's going to be. All right, next we have a comment from Mike Bauer69, Noise 17, and he says, store dead batteries by putting some masking tape over one or both outputs to prevent accidental circuit closure and fire. Mike, thank you very much for the comment and the suggestion. This is great advice. This is something I have done with the little button batteries that go in watches, because it seems like those are a lot easier to accidentally close the circuit on. Same with dead 9 volts. Because those are really easy to close the circuit on. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to start a fire, and I just have a stack of batteries on my desk in a little plastic bag ready to go to recycling whenever it gets full. I am kind of a psychopath. I know most people have given up on batteries. If they do any kind of batteries, they will use rechargeable. I don't like that. I like actual bad for the environment batteries because I know there's going to be a charge when I take them out and they're just good to go. I like having the ability. It's why I don't like, even though this is actually a rechargeable flashlight, I dislike rechargeable flashlights, rechargeable anything really. I like having the ability to open them up and replace the battery as quickly as possible. This is actually, I can replace that with a normal AAA. I may do that. If this ever dies, that's good to know. I can just put in a regular AAA. Hey, we're learning things. Thank you very much, Mike. I am going to continue to do that, but I wanted to include this Little disclaimer, this PSA for anybody watching: if you're going to throw away batteries or store them and recycle them eventually, you should be covering the terminals on both sides to ensure that there's no circuit closure or completion or whatever that may spark and start a fire. Thank you very much. The cameras have been restarted, my water break is over, and now we are jumping to the value for value section because this is a V for V podcast. What that means, there are 0 ads on it. I do not put this behind a paywall. I just throw the show out there, and if you enjoy it and get any value from it, I ask you return that however you can, whether it be financial support or whether it be promotion. Because this show does terribly in the algorithm, there are a dozen different topics. The algorithm just doesn't know who to recommend it to, so sharing it with a friend is incredibly helpful, and that value is greatly appreciated. We focus on the financial support, and first up, oh, by the way, if you do want to support it financially, you can go to podcastage.com/support, or you can do so directly with a super thanks on YouTube. But first up, we have €50 from none other than, say it with me, TechMed Rainer Richter, and he says, Danke. Rainer, thank you so much for the €50, and thank you for the continued support. It really does help keep the channel running, keep the lights on, keep the hosting bills paid. Really do appreciate you so much. And also, thank you to the Germans in general. The Germans are pretty rad, making such great microphones, which I demoed earlier, and then coming up with such a clever design for a microphone clip to solve a very specific problem. Just utilitarianism at its best. So, good job, Germany. Appreciate you very much. And especially you, Rainer. You're incredible. Next, we have $50 from Schmoof a Dupe, or Schmoof a Dupe. And he says, Hey Bandrew, I have watched Podcastage for years and learned so much. I appreciate your delivery, humor, and especially the music tests. Seriously, Schmoof a Dupe. Thank you so much for that. I have been listening regularly to BSP for a bit now, and even though I do pay for YouTube Premium, I really respect your V for V concept and wanted to say thank you and send more of a lump sum than a bunch of smaller throughout the year. Life is good right now, so here's a little something to give back to the BSP/podcastage efforts. I've really enjoyed ending my weekends by checking in with the BSP, so again, I say thank you. Schmoofadoop, thank you so much for the $50, and more importantly, thank you for those incredibly kind words. Thank you for spending any amount of time of your week watching Podcastage videos or checking in on the BSP. I say this at the end of every show, and I know it may sound automatic, but I really do mean it. There are a trillion things trying to get your attention, and there is so much amazing stuff out there. So the fact that you choose to spend any amount of time watching or listening to any of this really does mean the world to me. So thank you very much, Schmoofadoop. Really appreciate the kind words and the support. You are also helping keep the lights on, keep the ads at bay. The ads suck. I hate ads so much. So I love you, everybody who supports this show, for allowing me to keep this ad-free and keep it running. Thank you so much. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, we have $10 from Brent. And he says, Hello, Bandrew. I was able to pick up a Lewitt Connect 6 and Aston Stealth for when I needed to travel. Your videos were so much help navigating the interface. Thanks again for all you do. Also, I replaced my Canon M6 Mark 11 I used for shooting wheelchair repair how-tos after the third time it stopped recording at 30 minutes. Loved Canon and still use it for stills, but moved to Sony for filming. Brent, thank you very much for the $10, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your experience with your camera journey there. That does seem to be a growing trend. I guess not growing, it's been around for quite a while. A lot of people used to use Canon and have moved over to Sony mirrorless because the visuals are great, and it seems as though they may not, according to you, have that limitation on filming length. I know there are some Canon cameras that do not have that. I know the C100, which is, I think their cinema, maybe not a cinema camera, but it's a video camera, really. So they do have some available that don't have that time limit. I also know there are workarounds where you are able to bypass that, where you kind of overwrite the operating system. I don't mind having a 30-minute time limit because I screw up so much, I edit so much, it's no big deal. What is one more edit amidst a dozen? It's no sweat off my back, it's no real big deal breaker. If I was doing something like filmmaking or really long, single shot, low edit tutorials, walkthroughs, repair videos, I totally get that, because if it's something that you're not going to be able to recreate or do again, that is important that you do not have the camera stop filming, where you may end up losing 10 steps in the repair process. So I understand completely why you would move to something that doesn't exhibit that same behavior, where 29 minutes, 59 seconds, you're done. Anything after that is lost. So you have to go up there and restart it. And if you're not paying attention to it because you're so focused on repairing something, it's easy to miss the fact that the camera stopped recording. There have been many times where I look right at the lens. I look right into the lens and I don't look over at the actual viewfinder, the little screen. So sometimes it'll stop recording and I don't notice it for maybe 30 seconds until I hear the click, because they also just shut off after a little bit. Brent, thank you so much for the 10 USD. And again, thank you for sharing your thoughts. Really do appreciate you. Thank you to Raina, to Schmoofadoop, and Brent for supporting this show financially. Really do appreciate you. And I know everybody who watches or listens to this ad-free appreciates you as well. Go ahead and leave them a little thank you in the comments. Thank you for allowing this show to be ad-free, because ads suck butts, dude. They suck. Tell me in the comments how much you hate ads. And I know 75% of you are just thinking, I don't mind them because I use an ad blocker. I'm on to you guys. I know you guys better than I know myself. All right. That's actually going to wrap up this week's episode. I appreciate you coming by. As I said earlier, I know there are a million things vying for your attention. The fact that you choose to spend any amount of your week watching or listening to this really does mean the world to me. Why am I so saliva-y? This is disgusting. I need more water. But I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be back. I will be talking at you, with you, about something, about you. Maybe there will be some audio news or YouTube news worth discussing. If not, I'll be comparing more microphones, because that is always a good time. I will talk to you then. I love you. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.